Let's bring on former Baltimore Oriole and just one of the best guys that you can ever come in contact with, Trey Mancini. Trey, how you doing?
Guys, doing well. Nice Wolves jersey.
Thanks. So, are you a Wolves fan or just
I'm not. I do follow the Premier League though. I like Aston Villa, and it's not just because they had a good year this year. I picked them years and years ago. So it was a nice year to be a fan of them this year. But I love Premier League, love soccer. So yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so the reason why I'm wearing this, I was doing a little work beforehand. There's a video. I'm afraid to show you it, Trey, because we're promoting Wolves and Crystal Palace are coming to Annapolis actually here next Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. So I'm not just wearing this on a normal basis, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that calls for a jersey, I'd say.
Yeah.
We were playing yesterday somewhere over here too, I think. I'm not positive.
Philly?
Yes, there's a Philly, Jacksonville, and here.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's a few games going on, and I think even later on there's some more games. But that's why there's a video, Trey. If I muster up the courage to talk to you about it, I will. But how are you doing? It seems like you enjoyed your time in Italy. I think we were there at the same time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's wild. Italy was great. We went to Puglia for a few days first, and then we had a friend's wedding in Lake Como. Puglia was one of my favorite places I've ever been. I still have family that lives in that area too, so I got to meet some third cousins, which was a really neat experience.
Yeah,
it went better than it went in season 2 of White Lotus when they met their cousins. So
a little bit better.
It was great, and Lake Como was beautiful. So we had such a good trip. So you were there at the same time.
Yeah, honestly, the only reason I knew that was because I told you the Bowie Bay Sox, there's a group, and there was a picture that popped up with you and Sarah. And I went, you know what? It was a picture right outside the Tremazzo Hotel on the boat. And I got to be honest, I have a photo just like that, Trey. So how about that? Stop traffic.
Lake Como if you don't.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. Like all the locals or / maybe tourists do that. But it's beautiful there. So I'm glad you enjoyed. But I thought it was good timing then too. Besides that you were over there, obviously. We got to talk about that, but perfect timing because of the day that's coming up on Sunday. It's Mo Gaba Day here in Baltimore, and specifically, there's an event that's happening at Pickett Brewing, where on Sunday off South Paca Street in Baltimore, they are doing Sanzi Gaba is launching the Mo Love campaign, honoring the Orioles and Ravens as well. So they're going to have a foundation in his name that's happening there. But I thought your connection with Mo is so special. And so thought it'd be just a great time for you to just talk about the impact he's had, not only on you, but for this Baltimore community.
Mo is the most amazing person I've ever met. Genuinely. He was genuinely my friend, the kindest soul I've ever encountered. Just he embodied everything that a person should aspire to be. In the face of the cards that were handed to him, he always had a smile on his face. He was always worried about others and more concerned about others than himself. And it was evident the first time I met him that he was like that. He was so wise beyond his years and had such an impact on me, even before I went through all of my health issues, things like that. And I leaned on Mo during that time. Mm-hmm. He had such an impact on me, and he really helped me later on when I was going through it myself too. So he's somebody I think about all the time. Every time I see a Ravens game and I see the MO in different font and lettering in the end zone, it just makes me smile. And it's so cool that his legacy has expanded even beyond Baltimore too. It's amazing. And I feel like so many people more and more every year are getting to know Mo, and he's left such a great legacy, and it's just incredible to see.
It really is, and it's kind of crazy how time has flown by, but the impact still remains the same. And that's what you allude to, right? It's the impact that he made on others and how he made others feel, right? That's what you want to leave. And actually, why I brought up with Pickett Brewing, the event that's happening, and for the event specifically, for everyone that's wondering, I'll share it on the socials. But beer sales and everything from that event are going to be going to that Mo Gaba Foundation, and that's the new nonprofit that's going to benefit families affected by childhood cancer. So it's a great
Incredible.
Great cause, an incredible person. And also for people that didn't know, for Pickett Brewing, the city coined what West Street from Russell Street to Pocket Street, Mo Gaba Way. And that's right off the corner there where Pickett Brewing Company is. So it's just a very special time. And honestly, Trey, and this is the crazy thing too, the inside the park home run, wasn't it that on Mo Gaba Day, if I'm not mistaken?
It was the craziest thing that I've ever experienced on a baseball.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna pull it up for you here.
I've never hit an inside the park home run.
Well, let's see you run again. Let's see you move. Oh, I feel bad for Josh there. That's tough.
Thank you, Mo, and thank you, son. That was. I remember Austin waving me home. I feel like I was running in slow motion the whole time.
Yeah, you know what? We're not. I can speak honestly there. You and I were never known for speed.
No, I am just downright slow. The fact that I was able to play outfield was a minor miracle in itself, I think.
Yeah, well, I think that was a really cool moment, and honestly, I know for you, it was one of those last moments. Correct if I'm wrong. In Baltimore, right? Was that the last hit at 10 yards?
Yeah, last at bat there as an O. So yeah, I remember I just had the craziest feeling after the game that there was somebody else there for sure. It was wild, just a special day and something I'm always going to cherish and remember so fondly.
Yeah.
Dare I say, how can you not be romantic about baseball?
I mean, really not.
It's just it's moments like that where it's chills. Even right now, it's like just thinking about, like, I remember I was on vacation during that, and while it was going down, like, I was even like, holy crap, like, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was so cool. And I was thinking about it around third. I was thinking about Mo, A, and then B, I was praying that they were not going to call it an error too. So both things, Mo obviously was on my mind, and thankfully the home run stood. So it was such a special moment.
Yeah, there's things that just you can't explain. There's certain things that just, but you can make sense of. For baseball players, you look for it. I'm glad. I know exactly that feeling, by the way, of checking if that was going to be an error or not.
Yeah, and the week following.
Oh my goodness, guys, you're going to learn a lot more about that. Baseball players, creatures of habit, man, and you guys have heard it. You live and die with all of it, and you try. One hit, one little thing can just absolutely change your mindset. I know a lot of people are feeling that right now, Trey. I think a lot of people are worrying about the Orioles at this current moment in time. I think they're in a good spot despite the struggles. I mean, you've dealt with it on a day-to-day. Can you just speak on the struggles of going through a season? And right now, Baltimore's in a good spot, but you could have months, plural, of just try to battle. I have a tough time explaining the grind, but maybe you can do a better job of what players are dealing with when they're not at their best and you're trying to get out of this rut.
For sure. Baseball is truly, I know we hear it all the time, and everybody talks about how tough of a sport it is, 162 games, but it really is day in, day out. You've got to be locked in for even on your off days. So let's say 183 days during the regular season, and then you have playoffs. If you're fortunate after that, you're going to go through periods of time throughout that season where things aren't going to be going ideally. It's just going to happen. That's how baseball is. And I've been paying pretty close attention, especially as of late. And, they're still leading the division. A lot of other teams are struggling. And I think in the long run, if you don't struggle at some point during the year, when it comes, playoff time and when high pressure situations come around, it's good to have experienced those tough times, learn from them and get through them. So, what they're going through right now is not out of the ordinary at all. And I don't think there's any red flags necessarily that need to happen or that, need to go on. Obviously, you want to play as consistent as you can the whole year, but the nature of the game is it's just not going to happen every single day. You're going to go through some down periods. So they're still leading the division. They've got the most talent in the league. It's such an incredibly talented roster and farm system. I think every other team probably envies where the Orioles are right now. So I still think they're in a really good spot.
I do too, Trey. I do too. I think that it's always perspective, but it's also great because you saw that on the day to day. You know what it's like to go through it. And the game's hard. It's so damn hard. And a lot of people would, especially in the league, if you ask the teams around there, they'd love to be in the Orioles position.
Yeah.
Granted, no one wants the injuries, right? But
yeah, of course. But they are so deep. Mike has done an incredible job of just loading that system up. So if somebody does go down, there's going to be a really good, well-prepared person to come up. He's he's got the greatest gift for scouting I've ever seen. It's incredible. So they're in a great position, and it happens during the year. We're July. It's, as everybody says, the dog days, and it's true. They happen.
Yeah. The people are really going to learn quickly the dog days, but it's true. I actually just had dinner with Dean Kramer the other night and was catching up with him about just how he was feeling. And he's like, well, I was actually coming off the IL. It was, I feel like that was a reset that you don't usually get, and he's like, it was a tiring stretch when you had only one off day in June. I mean, it impacts a lot of guys in so many different ways.
It definitely does.
Yeah. I want to ask you, finish your thought.
Oh, no. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but it's just, you have to deal with obviously the physical ups, the mental ups and downs, which is the main thing that you have to get over. And then physically, you're going to be banged up and not feeling your best. So those are just things that you grind through in these months.
Got to grind, guys. You got to grind. I think before, because trade deadline's here and just the experience in the part here, but Zach, I think you had a question because obviously, Trey, you were right at the time where the team was getting out of those dark years when the organization and what was happening, but there were some really cool moments before you left Baltimore. I think that's what you wanted to allude to, Zach.
Yeah, Trey, you just talked about how the Orioles are in one of those positions that every other team is kind of envious of. But as we know, and that wasn't always the case recently. And you saw the dark years and kind of got up to the point before it all officially kind of switched over. But in that final year, I feel like the big thing was that one win streak. I think it was 10 games? It was 10 games. And the walk-off against the Angels, what was just that streak of everything that you had fought through with this organization, the tough days, and then kind of it all comes together in that win streak, and it's like the Orioles are here. That kind of felt like the time where it was like, okay, now it's time to go. Let's see what this team can do.
Definitely. And it felt that same way in the clubhouse that year, especially after that win streak. Our whole team just collectively had this feeling and vibe around us, honestly, that we're actually good now. We're actually a good Major League Baseball team for the first time in quite a while, since probably my rookie year. I came up in 2016 and got to be part of that playoff team. And then 17, we had a really good team, fell off in September, but it was the first time really since then that it was like, wow, we've got a really good team. And we started to feel like that in May. The record wasn't showing it. We had a tough April that year, kind of a similar April as to the few years prior. But I remember we were playing the Cardinals that May, and I turned to a couple guys and I was like, does this year feel a little different to you guys? Just there was more belief and everybody felt like that. And that really culminated when Adley got called up. And once Adley was there, I was so impressed with him from day one. Just when you're a rookie, you can get so caught up in, it's your debut. You want to get off hitting really well. His main concern was dealing with the pitchers, being on the same page with them from day one. And to see that out of a young kid at the time, and he's blossomed into every year all-star. You knew that he kind of had that it factor that made our team go, and we just kind of took off from there that year. So it was probably the most fun stretch I've ever had playing baseball, and it was that stretch in 22.
Yeah, and it's funny that you kind of, and cool that you also bring up that Adley coming up was kind of that moment where it's like you guys had that momentum, and it was like, wait, this is a good baseball team. Then Adley gets up, and it almost was like just a switch, and it was like, no, we're here now. So it's really cool that, from a fan's perspective, I think everyone in Baltimore felt that coming, but for the players as well in the clubhouse, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was the same thing. It was one of those things where it was kind of simultaneous, what the fans were thinking, we were feeling at the same time. And yeah, after that 10-game win streak, it was like, we're good. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, our team's good. This is great.
Newsflash: the Orioles are back. But that's the part of it of, there's certain things when you're in a clubhouse, the group has a really good feel and sense of what's happening. And in some cases, there are things that the outside world won't know, right? Just because. But there's other cases where everything was in sync. And I'm glad you brought that up, because it was. When Adley came up, you can statistically look at it and see the difference. Fans could feel a difference, but then the guys specifically in the locker room, you felt the difference. And it was really cool to see. And also, Trey, I was so happy for you specifically, because, I mean, I know that the years and everything you'd gone through, and everyone does, obviously, but I think that some people, when you play a game professionally, you understand it's great. Not many people can do it, right? But I think what I want people to know is, losing's still tough. Going to work each day and knowing that you're fighting for your job, and knowing that this team is not – it's not that they're not trying to win, but it's not maybe the priority it was your rookie year. It's a rebuild, and trying to get through a rebuild psychologically can mess with you. And then on top of it, you're fighting, for your life to just get back to playing. I think it's just context, right? I think that's probably why then all that was one of your favorite moments. Is that fair to say, that season?
It was so much fun and so cool just seeing it turn around. But even in those tough years that we went through, I was always just so grateful that I got to play there and got to take on that role through those tough years. I had said it before, but if I was on another team, you never know if I was just another guy in the lineup and maybe didn't make as much of an impact as I was able to in Baltimore. I got to kind of take the reins there at a younger age earlier in my career and try to help lead the team through a tough time. And, just because my prime years in the teams come back up, didn't line up, that's okay. I still got to take on that role, and I'm forever grateful for it.
Yeah, I think that's why also you were so beloved. I told these guys this, and this is one thing that I'm sorry, I can't see the lighting there. Sometimes if you blush on this, I don't think you embarrass easily. But one thing I always admired with Trey, guys, was a little thing. But if you're going over to a game in spring training, right, and you're going to go over and back up the guys, quote unquote, the big league guys, or you're going to be there ready to play. And some guys, the starters, the stars, some guys are just locked in and they got to stay focused. It's their job, right? Mm-hmm. And some of these young players that are coming over are nervous because you're like, well, I don't want to mess up. I want to stay out of people's ways. Yeah. And Trey is already established. Trey is already a guy. But I'll tell you what, every single time a guy came over, Trey was the first person to walk in there, and he would go up and say hi to the guys and be like, hey, Trey, what's going on? Or if he knew you, he'd come and say hi to you. Like, I wanted to point that out, Trey, because that speaks to why, on top of it, like, you're such a likable guy. I told people it's not what you see is what you get with you. And I think that was a tidbit that I always appreciated. And you remembered people. It's little things, man.
Yeah, and yeah, especially you want guys to feel comfortable whenever they come up and back up a game, because even 5 years before that, I was doing the same thing, and intimidating whenever you're going up and backing up a big league game. You don't want to be in anybody's way. But when I got called up, I got really close with Mark Trumbo in spring training in 2016. So having that relationship, once I got to Baltimore, I felt really comfortable, and that really helped me succeed right off the bat. So I always thought it was important to be, really nice and take guys under your wing if they're up there backing up a game. You're wearing the same uniform. They could be on your team that year. So you want them to feel as comfortable as possible so they can come up and perform whenever the time comes.
It's little things like that. And you're 1,000% right. That's the idea and the sense behind it. Everyone's in it together. You're competing to get to the big leagues, but you can still do the right things to try to make it. Because at the end of the day, if everyone's having success or people are getting better, it's ultimately going to help. And also helping people out, especially when you're nervous as hell, it's harder to play better if you're feeling nervous and stressed. We all know that. Kevin had a question, Trey, with as far as the trade deadline, because of that great year in 2022. It's kind of a bittersweet moment then. Obviously, and I think, Kevin, you wanted to ask that question.
Yeah, Trey, just about, the trade deadline being less than a week away now. And I think everybody kind of assumes that the deadline, oh, this is such a crazy time for the teams and everybody, decision makers. But that's something to me that I don't think is talked about enough, and there's not awareness on it, is with the players and you and teammates and everybody going through that. It is a dynamic and something that people aren't talking about enough, in my opinion. So I know you went through the process yourself and going through that every day. And some guys, they lock in, they shut it off. But for other players, it can maybe be a little more difficult to do that. So for you, could you maybe shed a little bit of light on just what the trade deadline is like for a player going through that in your own experience?
Yeah, it's definitely tough. It's on the back of your mind during the day, especially when you're not playing. You're going to be thinking about it. We're all human. It's going to be on your mind. Whenever the game starts, you try to shut it off as best you can. Subconsciously it could still be in there at times, but you don't want to be playing thinking about, am I going to have to move? Where might I go? What's going on? Are we going to buy or sell? So yeah, a lot of thoughts go through your head, and it's strange, especially in 22. Those thoughts definitely crept into my head, especially as we started to play better and have a winning record. I truly had no idea what was going on, what was going to happen. And it's definitely a weird limbo period. And you really try to enjoy where you are, but it's tough to do at the same time. I remember I had a bit of a slump before the trade deadline towards the end of July, I think, in 22. And then I had a meeting with Hyder where he, basically was like, dude, you just calm down. You got to turn it around here. And then I was really able to enjoy the next week. He was always good about knowing when to talk to me and talk to guys and kind of get you out of your own head a little bit. But yeah, it's always going to be on your mind. It is. And it's tough, but it's also like a cool experience. I was in the Orioles organization for 10 years. It was all I knew. And to get traded to a team that was a World Series favorite, we ended up winning the World Series, was, a really cool baseball experience. And I love my time in Houston too. So, it really is an interesting time though.
Yeah. And I was thinking about when you got traded to Houston, two things. One, Schwarber hit a rocket down the line on you in the World Series.
Oh man. Yeah. I came off the bench that game, hadn't played defense in well over a month. And I was just like, oh, dear God, I got to make something happen here. I was struggling at the plate, in the biggest slump of my career. I could not buy a hit. It was one of those where you're not feeling great. And then at the same time, I'm hitting balls 109 at 30 degrees that aren't getting out, any line drives caught. So I wasn't expecting to make an impact with my glove in the World Series, but I'll take whatever I can get. I was thrilled to make that play. And, once I got out there, you just kind of calm down and you're in the moment, and it helped me really make that play and stay loose.
Yeah. I laughed after it happened. I was so pumped for you, but I just went shit. I go, man, that was a missile. I'm like, thank God Trey made that play on you, especially with what you just said. No reps. Well, hey, get in there.
Yeah.
And
but the
that ball gets by you.
The game will find you. The ball will find you. And the first person I thought of right when I made the play, I was thinking of Mountie. He and I, when we were on the Orioles, it was always a joke. We liked playing defense, but whoever was the DH that day would just kind of be walking around with a little more pep in their step. And if a big lefty was up at the plate, we'd always make eye contact, whoever was DHing in the dugout and whoever was at first base. And we'd get really low to the ground, just waiting on a rocket to come to us with a big lefty. So right after that, that was the ultimate, hot shot at you moment in the World Series. And I was thinking, I wonder what Mountie's thinking right now.
That is unbelievable. I gotta, well, you can probably talk to Mountie about it there too, but it's funny talking about the first base and the banters within the game. But that ball gets by you. That game's way different. It's a way different game. What you got, Zach?
Yeah, Trey, just talking about the World Series for a second. When that ball in the final out gets popped up in foul territory, Did it feel like an eternity that was in the air? Like as a player, what's going through your mind when that ball goes in the air and you're like, this could be it?
It did, because Real Muto was on first base and Castellanos was hitting. So in my mind, I'm thinking if Castellanos gets on here, they're a swing away from tying this game. So that ball goes up. I see it's going to stay in play. I'm running for my life, knowing damn well I'm not going to get to that ball, but I'm going to try. And luckily, Kyle Tucker is a very good outfielder. Gets there, and I was screaming. And in hindsight, I'm glad he didn't think I was calling the ball, but I was just screaming, "Get it, Tuck! Get it, Tuck! Get it, Tuck!" And he caught it, and it was just euphoria after that. But yeah, it seemed like it was up there for a while, and yeah, it was such a cool feeling seeing that ball go in his glove.
I can imagine now in my mind of you just running, get it, Tuck, screaming your head off.
I was running exactly like I was in that inside the park home run you showed right before the play.
Perfect form. I can't get on you because I run like a duck. Like that's a family. Yeah, see, we're kind of built the same there, except you could hit balls way more consistently than I could and then launch it. Also, the home run derby thing, by the way, because everyone was really disappointed in Gunnar. It's hard to do that. It's hard to go out. You made it easy, though.
Okay, Trey.
Trey.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the format this year was a little tougher, having only 40 pitches to hit a certain amount of home runs. There's a little more of a game plan to it, too. So I thought the format was a little bit tougher this year to succeed. When I was doing it, you could, just keep trying to mash balls without really any punishment. As fast as your guy could throw, you were hitting the ball.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, dude, Gunnar is an absolute stud.
Yeah.
Whatever,
everyone was getting on Buck too. And I'm like, hey, look, I said Buck throws great BP. I've had Buck great BP. Thank you. PP. Yeah. Elite BP.
Yeah, it's tough.
Just didn't work out. Again, Trey, not anyone can just get in rhythm like you were there. But hey, you're right. I think the format's a big part of it. I think the format
was a big part of it this year.
All right. I got two things for you, then I'll get you out of here. Are we missing any other thing with Kevin, you had a thought?
I was just a quick question, Trey, about just Baltimore in general. I mean, you talked about you were with the organization for so long, in the city for so long, and you're such a beloved member of the organization, even today. But for you, and I'll leave this open-ended so you can kind of take it where you want it, but to you, what does Baltimore mean to you, and what did your time in Baltimore mean?
Baltimore is always a part of me. It's always going to be home to me. Genuinely, I'm not just saying that. I know it sounds like almost corny to say that, but I spent so much time there, and that's not just Baltimore. That's Aberdeen, Delmarva, Frederick, Bowie, Norfolk, all those places. I spent a significant amount of time there, but I remember my first game in Aberdeen. The fans were just so great, so locked in. And the support you get throughout the minors, I think, really helps you feel comfortable when you get to Baltimore, too. So it's not even just Baltimore. It's just the whole fan base is absolutely incredible. And Baltimore, yeah, I mean, I can't say enough. I had such a great experience there. One of my favorite places. Obviously, when I had cancer, I got treated at Hopkins. So I'm always going to have such a great relationship with the city through that too. But even if that didn't happen, it's somewhere that I'd always like to visit every year and still be a part of the community. It's definitely home to me.
And we love that. I mean, it's even if you're not from here, but you have the time then to spend time here. And I think that's why people realize when you're genuine about a place. And it was genuine that you love the journey that you had. And like in some ways you grew up, right? You grew up and you went through some hard times. And this is a cool moment here, Trey, since we're doing this though. But Clay Train here says, Trey, thank you for being an inspiration to my dad who passed of colon cancer last year, but your fight gave him the will to push for 3 years with stage 4. So
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah. But the thing that I wanted to say with those moments is that it's what you meant for the community. The one thing that people can say, people give Baltimore a bad rap at times, but it's insane. Yeah. The people here appreciate what whether it's players or the people around, they embrace these teams and the people that are involved with them. And you embodied that, Trey. So I appreciate that. And now for a fun thing, and this is a debate, and I know this is a question that's highly controversial in some cases. Brought to you by our friends over at Stuggies. So they got the crab mac and cheese dog going right now, which Trey, I'd consider that a topping. Okay, that's not a condiment, right? We can agree with that. Onions are topping.
I can already tell you're probably not going to like my answer.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I might love it.
Okay.
So toppings, condiments are just condiments. Okay. We'll see where you go with that. But Trey Mancini, what is going on your dog?
Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be a seafood. Would you rather have crab?
No.
Because I don't like seafood, so that's an unpopular Baltimore opinion.
We can live with that. What is going on your dog, Trey?
On my dog, relish and mustard and onions.
There you go. Well, guys, this is a big day for these guys.
Those are the three.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I know it.
I'm a plain dog guy, Trey. I like the nothing. What's wrong with that?
Actually, no. Hot dog, I can get behind that. A lot of other things, I think you need sauce. Hot dog, I can get behind. No sauce.
Okay, I was a little concerned because your face froze for a second. It wasn't because of the interconnection. You froze when
I'm a big sauce guy, but hot dogs are one of the things that I'll accept.
Is there anything before I let you get out of here? Anything that you got going on? And I know it's probably the weirdest thing that you had a vacation in the summer. That's how I felt.
Summer, first summer since I was probably 4 or 5 years old. So summer's cool.
Yeah,
I had one before.
Yeah, summers are nuts. I was actually here, but I was sitting there going, man, this is what going on vacation in the summer's on. Which I know, of course, being able to play, it's self-explanatory. I miss being in the locker room and being around that. That's my biggest thing. But anything you got going on, you want to plug or that we should know about?
No, nothing. Just living life and enjoying it, man.
Hell yeah. Well, good. You deserve to enjoy it, and good luck with everything. I will bother you though about some recommendations for Italy, so just be prepared for that. I need that. All right, Trey. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
It was fun.
All right. And again, for everyone out there, Mo Gaba Day, Sunday, July 28th. We're going to have a lot more going on with that. But Trey, be good. Appreciate you.
As well. Thank you, guys.
Trey Mancini, everybody.